Good morning, everyone. Good to see you, Geeta, Bradley, Jess, Stacy, Boone, and good morning, Bante Sudato. So this morning, Bante will be leading us in meditation, and then we can share some words of Dhamma.
Okay.
And hello, Kyle. Welcome, Ethan.
So please go ahead and get in meditation posture. Sitting up nice and straight. Relaxing the body. Making an extra effort to relax your face and your shoulders. And sharpening attention on the body. So by this point in the retreat, so day 6 of the retreat, then your mind should already be established on the body. Even before you come to sit down, the mind should already be on the body. So all that's necessary is to start intensifying, clarifying, sharpening that attention. Holding the mind very steady, not moving it through the body, not moving from one part of the body to another, but keeping the mind unmoving in the body, centered on a particular place, not moving from that place. And aware of the whole body centered in that one place. Really enjoying the body, enjoying the experience of sharply, clearly, peacefully knowing the body. Feeling the pleasure of mindfulness and samadhi centered on the body. If you catch yourself thinking about other things, just immediately drop it and put your mind back in the body. Clearly, intensely, calmly knowing every moment of body sensation without moving the mind from its center point. Let the body and mind be completely still. If your samadhi is strong, the mind is holding steady on the body with alertness and clarity, then you can practice the recognition of impermanence, clearly seeing that the sensations are constantly changing, that the experience of the body is different moment by moment, that there is no persistent, ongoing body to be found. Just a collection of sensations that appear and immediately disappear, moment after moment. And every moment, it's a different set of sensations. There's no continuity. It's new every moment. So you can stretch a little bit, relax your posture. So I'd really like to emphasize today the importance of samadhi. So constantly coming back to our samadhi practice, constantly refreshing and renewing our samadhi practice. So even if you've been focusing more on recognition of impermanence or silent illumination practice in the last couple of days, still from time to time, spending a fair amount of time just focusing on samadhi, reestablishing the stability and the sharpness of the mind. Sometimes, as we're doing the recognition of impermanence practice or silent illumination practice, then uh, the mind can start to go a little bit dull, can start to lose its clarity, can start to lose its sharpness if we're not careful. It's very easy for this to happen. Um, as we start to recognize the insubstantiality of all phenomena, of all objects, then sometimes we let our attention go a bit fuzzy. Uh, and again, this can sometimes happen without us even noticing it's happening if we're not paying close enough attention. So, periodically returning to samadhi practice helps to ensure that our attention is sharp and bright and clear. It helps to ensure that the mind is very stable and steady, very collected and unified. And this is mm, something that we should be doing periodically throughout the retreat, throughout our time, is returning to our samadhi practice, building it up, especially towards the beginning of each day. It's good to make sure that we spend a fair amount of time at the start of each day working on samadhi. One of the reasons for this is because during the nighttime, um, as we get ready to sleep and as we're sleeping and then as we're waking up and starting our day, um, the mind is already a little bit dull and spacey and distracted because sleep, and maybe dreaming. And uh, when we wake up in the morning, the mind is not so clear, so it tends to go on its old habits, its habitual ways of thinking and reacting. So it's good to make sure that we start at least the first period of meditation each day with good, strong samadhi, really committing to unifying and collecting and sharpening and clarifying the mind every day. And also throughout the day, uh, refreshing that samadhi practice. I recommend, even if you're mostly doing Vipassana practices at this point, so again, the methods I've been prescribing are the recognition of impermanence and or silent illumination practice. Even if you've been spending most of your time on those methods, still to spend a few minutes at the start of each period of sitting meditation just doing samadhi. So collecting the mind together, sharpening the mind, making sure that the attention is razor sharp, making sure that one's mm, concentration is rock solid. This helps tremendously with giving depth and power to one's vipassana practice, one's insight practice. So many teachers will actually say that you shouldn't even begin to practice vipassana until you have at least first jhana. So I don't go that far. I don't. I don't think that's strictly necessary. But I really understand why they say that. Because when the mind is still scattered and dispersed and hazy, even just a little bit, then our Vipassana practice is not very effective. It's still worth doing because you'll start to get some proficiency with the methods. and you can start to have some surface level wisdom, some surface level change in how we relate to body and mind. So it's still worth doing. And also, it can help to mm, inspire us and encourage us to practice more strongly when we start to get the shifts in perception, the shifts in experience that Vipassana practice can bring. That helps to encourage us and remind us to keep practicing strongly, help to remind us that we're on the right track. And it can also help to give a little more strength to our samadhi practice as well. So it can help to shape our samadhi practice. But keep coming back to that samadhi practice. Keep renewing it, keep reinvigorating it, keep building it up. So you can spend your day switching between samadhi and vipassana, switching between these two. But don't neglect samadhi. Again, it's perfectly fine if you spend 90% or 95% of your time just doing samadhi practice. That's totally fine. You're not wasting time. That's great, in fact. And what you'll find is that the other 5 or 10% of time when you do vipassana practice, you'll notice that it's very strong, it's very powerful, that the mind is able to move into it very quickly and easily, and that it pierces deeply into the mind. So don't neglect samadhi. So I don't really have a lot to say this morning because we've already said a lot through the course of this retreat. And realistically, we've said everything that really needs to be said. So at this time, I'd like to just open up. If there's any questions about your meditation that you would like to ask, please go ahead and put it in the live chat at this time. If there's no questions, then we'll just move into the retreat schedule.
Thank you, Bante. And thank you all for coming to practice with us this morning. Hello, Sally. And hello, Custom Wavelengths. It's an interesting name. Hello, Elaine, Yenny, Edward, Lamo. Welcome back, Maria. I'm glad you found the video in the end. Hello, Jessica, Geeta, Catalina, and Mark, who is asking, in today's practice, you said something like letting the body be still and the mind be centered. What is meant by centered? Is this practicing samadhi?
So when I say centered, like having the mind be centered, what I mean is with samadhi practice, usually what I recommend is to pick a place in the body where you place the center of your attention. So you're still aware of the rest of the body, but you're giving extra attention to that particular point, and you're not moving the mind from that point. So that's the center of your attention. Just like when you're looking at something, like right now I'm looking at the little stone statues over by the fireplace. So I'm looking at it, so my vision is centered on those statues. It's still aware of everything else in the room, but there's less attention being given to everything else in the room. The majority of my attention is on the statues, and that's the center of my field of view. So that's what I mean. So you pick a place in your body and you center your mind there. You center your attention there. You're still aware of the rest of the body, but your mind is centered on that area, and it doesn't move from that area. And your awareness of that area is naturally going to be a bit sharper and clearer than the rest of your body. So this is meant for sharpening one's mindfulness and strengthening one's samadhi. That's its main purpose. But also it serves as the starting point for recognizing impermanence, because that's the area where your attention will be the sharpest and clearest. So it's the area where you'll be able to recognize impermanence the most clearly as well. Okay?
Great. Thank you, Bante. There might be some more questions appearing.
Or there might not.
And there is. Boone is saying, what is meant by balance between samadhi and virya?
Well, virya means energy or effort. Um, I don't think I ever said balance between samadhi and virya because realistically, you need effort in order to enter samadhi in the first place. So virya, uh, briefly speaking, it's applying yourself to the method. It's applying your mind to the method. It's making an effort to practice the method, whatever the method is. So if your method is to be mindful of your body, then virya is to make an ongoing effort to be mindful of your body. If your method is to focus on your hands, then virya means making an ongoing effort to focus on your hands. If you're practicing the recognition of impermanence, then virya means making an ongoing effort to recognize impermanence. Uh, so that's one way that virya is used. The other way virya is used is in the sense of energy, um, as the opposite of dullness, the opposite of mm, drowsiness or hazy mind. So then virya then is associated with the quality of awakeness, of being very awake and alert, which also is a necessary component of samadhi. So samadhi without alertness is called sleep, and that doesn't help at all. I mean, of course, you need to sleep a certain amount. If you don't sleep enough, then your meditation practice will not go well. So, of course, you need to sleep enough, but not while you're meditating. So, I'm not sure what you mean by balancing samadhi and virya, because I don't see them as being opposites. I see them as being things that support each other.
Thank you, Bante. And Sally's asking, may I ask, aware of the body, put attention on one place. Is this method mentioned in some sutta? If so, which suttas?
Well, the Satipatthana Sutta is a great example of this. The Buddha speaks about placing one's attention at different areas of the body. Um, yeah, that's a clear example. I mean, there's many other places, but that's one which is well known and comes immediately to mind.
Thank you. And Ron is asking, good morning. Like the placing of tongue, any suggestion for the eyeball to be placed?
Well, if you have your eyes closed, it doesn't really matter because your eyes are closed. So your eyes should just be still, not moving. If you have your eyes open, the usual recommendation is to have them no more than half open and for the eyes to be pointed down at the ground, about 1 to 2 meters in front of you. Usually 1 meter is good. You don't want to be looking too far forward. So about 1 meter is pretty good. Yeah. Again, though, still. The eyes should be still, not moving.
And e-learner is asking, Bante, any practical advice regarding leg tremors?
So if it's involuntary, then you don't need to worry about it. You just keep doing your practice. And it'll probably slow down and even go away in time. But whether it does or doesn't is beside the point because it's involuntary. So you don't need to worry about it. You just keep doing your practice. But as you pay close attention, you may discover that there is an element of volition involved, that there's an element of intentional voluntary activity involved. If that's the case, and it may or may not be, but if that's the case, then you need to make an effort to stop, to allow your legs to be still. So if it's involuntary, no problem. Just let the tremors come and go whenever they come and go, and just keep doing your meditation practice without being bothered by it. But if you find that there's any voluntary component, then it's important to stop. And that can be fairly subtle. There's one person I know of who he's a Zen priest, and he's actually a fairly well known teacher these days. Um, he had a problem with muscle spasms, and he'd had them for years and years and years, and he'd gone to many doctors, and the doctors had prescribed various medications which didn't help. Um, they had him do some therapies, and the therapy didn't help either. And finally, the doctors just said, "Well, sorry, you have incurable muscle spasms. You just have to live with it." But then this particular person started getting into meditation practice, and after he'd been practicing meditation for many years, he discovered that there was a subtle volitional component to the muscle spasms, which he had been unaware of until his mindfulness practice became very advanced. And then he was able to recognize this subtle subverbal, subconscious, volitional trigger, and he was able to stop it. So his muscle spasm problem was eventually overcome uh, through his meditation practice because he was able to identify that subtle mental trigger for the spasms. But that may or may not be your case. You'll find out, and you may not find out for a few years. But if that's the case, then for the meantime, you just practice equanimity towards it and keep developing mindfulness of the body, keep developing samadhi.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. And Edward is asking, I do 75% walking. Is it okay that I break the steps down in three places? It's distracting for me any longer.
Break the steps down in three places. What do you mean by that? I
If,
mean, it's
if Edward, if you can explain a little bit further what you mean by breaking it down in three places, that would be helpful.
briefly speaking, though, if you want to do mostly walking meditation, that's fine. I know some monks who do similar things where they do more walking than sitting, and they find that very helpful. Um, there's one monk I know of. I've never met him in person, but I know of him secondhand, who does 12 hours of walking meditation a day and only does about 1 or 2 hours of sitting. And that seems to work really well for him. Apparently, he gets really strong samadhi during that 1 hour of sitting meditation. So this is not my practice. I'm more on the other spectrum. I do lots of sitting and not very much walking, but that's me. So if you find walking is really helpful for you, then yeah, it's fine to do 75% walking, 25% sitting. It's fine.
And he's clarified right, left, lift, placing.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that if it's helpful. That's the real key. Is it helpful? Does it help you stabilize, unify, and clarify your mind? If so, then it's fine. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I do walking meditation, I personally like to do a more fluid approach. So, not breaking things down into this staccato step, like staccato piece by piece kind of thing. I like it to be more of a fluid, continuous motion. Um, but doing things in that staccato piece by piece way can be a very good way of making sure that you're actually paying attention to what you're doing. So if it's helping you pay attention to your walking, then keep it up. Um, as my preceptor likes to say, do whatever works. That's really what matters. Look at the results. If it gets good results, then it's good. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Bante. And Boon is asking, am I understanding it correctly? When my focal point is fixed, and at this point, there is a part of the question missing. Boon, if you can fill it up. Unless it wasn't at this point, I emptiness. In which case, it's great.
What did you say so far?
Am I understanding it correctly when my focal point is fixed and at this point
Yeah, I suspect there's more to that question.
yeah, but it's not appearing yet. Not appearing.
Well, in that case, we might need to go ahead and close for the morning. And Boone, you can fill us in with the rest of your question this evening, perhaps? Okay.
Oh, so Sally has a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Bante, in the Satipatthana Sutta, it did mention contemplating on body or breathing. Where can I understand as body and breathing? I found out aware the whole body and no breathing is good, but I have thoughts arise. Is two objects at the same time something Buddha taught? I just hope to overcome and persuade myself this is something taught in the sutta.
Okay, so I think you're getting a little too caught up on that. I think realistically, you just need to look at what works. What you will find in the suttas, though, on the subject is in the Buddha's instructions on breathing, and this is included in the Satipatthana Sutta as well as many other places. The third step is I will breathe in aware of the whole body. I will breathe out aware of the whole body. So that's a clear case where the Buddha is talking about being aware of breathing as well as feeling your whole body at the same time. So that's one example. But realistically, if you try to find somewhere in the suttas where the Buddha talks in exact detail about exactly what you're doing every step of the way, you're kind of missing the point. Because the point here is, are you developing the factors of awakening? Are you developing the qualities of mind that lead towards liberation? That's what's important. So let's say, for example, that you're focusing your attention on your chest. And then you're having a hard time finding anywhere in the suttas where the Buddha specifically says to focus attention on your chest. And then you give up on the practice because you can't find it. Well, that's really missing the point. If it helps you develop mindfulness, then you're following the Buddha's teachings on developing mindfulness. If it helps you develop samadhi, then you're following the Buddha's teachings on developing samadhi. If it helps you develop wisdom, then you're following the Buddha's teachings on developing wisdom. So pay a little more attention to the result rather than to the method. Okay?
Thank you. And Ron is asking if there are going to be any programs for kids ages low 2 digits during this pandemic. They're curious of what's going on with me at this retreat. Intent here to steer them in the correct direction.
So, unfortunately, that is not in my skill set. I don't have the particular skills of teaching small children. I do okay with teenagers, but below that is a challenge for me. So the best we could do is I do know some people who do have the skill of teaching mindfulness to small children. And I could see if they might be willing to set up an online session. And if they do, we'll definitely let you know about it. But it won't be led by me.
And Boone is clarifying the question. Am I understanding it correctly? When my focal point is fixed, then at this point, I just need to observe the changes that happen at this area. For example, the heat comes and vibration comes and goes.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it starts. That's the first stage in the recognition of impermanence. Okay. Any other questions?
And Sally is saying, sometimes I was so stubborn. Aren't we all? Oh, and Rupa is saying that Banterahula is doing sessions on Sunday for kids.
Oh, great.
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 Okay. So, actually, Rupa, do you mind sending us the information? I mean, I'm sure we can find it, but just because we're on retreat, if you can send us the information on Banterahula's Sunday classes, that would be great. So we can get them to be included in the next newsletter of Buddhist
Mm.
Insights, because a lot of people have asked us. So it's wonderful that he's doing sessions for kids already.
Yeah, and Bhante Rahula is a very good teacher. He's quite well respected. He's taught with us a few times in the past.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Bhante Rahula is excellent. And Sally says, yesterday, while I noticed the legs movements mindfully in walking meditation, I realized this movement is just bones, flesh moves, which is not me, mine. A sense of anatta, but not anicca. I felt these two are different. How do I link this experience to anicca?
Well, just recognize that the sensations are changing. So, anicca is particularly obvious when you're walking because your body is moving, which means every sensation is clearly changing. Like your body position is changing every moment. Therefore, it's anicca, it's impermanent. But yeah, your recognition of flesh and bones and blood, which are not you, moving around, that's great. That's good. In truth, the recognition of impermanence and the recognition of not self are intimately connected. While they're different, they're inseparable. So it's natural that when you're practicing one, that you'll start to get some insight into the other. Okay.
Okay, and I think that's the last question for today, for this morning. So thank you so much, Bante, for teaching. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And we'll see you all this evening at 7:30 p.m.
Okay.
Have
And
a
hopefully it
great.
will be Ayasoma giving the talk.
All right. Have a great. Bye bye.